I know, it is noon. So I'll open up for citizen comments.
I guess I'll provide an update on the Main Street project. We are in negotiations with our chosen consultant and anticipate getting that agreement to council for the April 22nd meeting. Just to refresh everyone's memory, that's essentially a full reconstruction of Main and the utilities under it from the Blue Bridge to 11th as the scope of the project. And so this first contract with the consultant will simply be a preliminary phase of that to get an initial design in and some numbers so that budgeting can be done. And then eventually the anticipation is that that heads towards a bond election of some kind in May of 25. So that's the rough outline, and we're pretty excited about the project overall. I think it could do a lot of good things for Lewiston.
Cool.
Thanks, Lou.
Anybody have any comments for him? All right, moving on, we have a public hearing on 2024 budget amendment to terminate RAA number 4 Main East Main that I'll open up for public comment. There being no public comment, we'll move on to the active agenda. First item is approval of minutes of March 12th, 2024, as well as invoices for Tribune Publishing Company legal notice on the annual report for $32.04 and O'Sullivan Legal services for March in the amount of $450.50. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move we approve the minutes from the March meeting as well as approval of the invoices.
Wow, it's twofer. I'll second it.
Okay, I'll open it up for discussion. Anybody have any comments?
Yeah, also in the minutes that we're gonna have.
I wasn't at the last meeting, so I want to abstain from the minute approval, but I'll vote on the invoices, so I'm not sure if that's legal, but
Actually, why don't you take them as separate?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and do them separate. We're gonna do them separate, Joe.
So start with the minutes.
Okay, that's
All right, so we'll start over again.
Minutes only.
Yeah, we're gonna do approval of minutes of March 12th, 2024. Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Second, I'll open up for discussion.
I read in the minutes that we're gonna have a possibly a bill from
the accounting company.
Yeah, for the audit.
for the audit from Presnell Gage.
Yeah,
Evidently, we didn't get it.
we didn't get it in time for the packets.
Okay.
It will be on next month.
All right.
They won't forget us.
I'm sure they won't.
All right, any other comments? All right,
yeah, I thought the minutes were good, and just know, by the way, I would have voted with everybody on all the action items.
all right. So I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those abstain? Okay, motion passes.
Oh, I abstain.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's why I was making sure I got that. All right,
Yeah.
motion passes with Joe Gish abstaining. And I'll move on to the next item for approval of invoices. Once again, Tribune Publishing Company for annual report publishing the amount of $32.04 and O'Sullivan Legal for services in March for $450.50.
I move payment of invoices, approval of invoices.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll open for discussion.
And all abstain.
Okay. And any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those in abstaining would be Mr. Alford abstaining.
I only make the comment that you can hardly go to McDonald's for $34.
I know, that's a pretty good deal.
$32.
So,
That doesn't
motion
even
passes.
keep the light in the bathroom on, does it?
That's right.
Oh my goodness. All right, next item on the agenda is review of financial summary, and
So I checked with finance today. They haven't received the Twin River bank statement yet, so we'll have to postpone these till next month.
all right. And so moving on, next item is adoption of resolution 2021-1, termination of RAA number 4 Main East Main. Turn that over to you, Shannon. You want me to? No.
Okay, so I want to preface this by saying today what we are going to do is review this resolution as well as the amended budget. The recommendation from staff though is to not take action on these items. The reason being is that with the termination budget, we published that in the paper once, and Idaho code requires us to publish that in the paper twice. And so to make sure that we've crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's, what I would prefer is that we can go through these things, you can ask questions, but that we postpone any action until March.
May.
I'm sorry, May 14th, not March.
The other M.
May 14th, which is your next regularly scheduled meeting.
All right.
Okay, so I will go ahead and scroll down to it. I wish there was an easier way to scroll down on here. Ugh. So first we're gonna look at the resolution, and that should be 2024-01. We try to use the year and then whatever number resolution we're talking about here.
So we're number one, huh? That's good.
Yeah, the URA doesn't do many resolutions actually. This audit is part of the minutes.
Sorry about the attendance to last month's minutes.
Coming in
Yeah.
anytime.
Here's your invoices. Okay, resolution.
Page 33, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you go to the side,
There's the side, there's a,
there's a
So essentially what these are, is this resolution is just talking about, at the last meeting, the board voted to close, revenue allocation area 4, Main East Main. What has to happen then is that the URA does a formal resolution to close a, revenue allocation area. We do that with this. We also do 2 more things. We create a termination budget and plan, if you will. The plan is an exhibit on the resolution, and then the budget just talks about how much in revenues we expect, how much we are going to release back to the taxing entities. So the resolution is first, and it just kind of lines out how did we get to this point, and then now where are we going. I will tell you that we did meet with Patty Weeks' office with Nez Perce County to make sure that she has reviewed these documents as well, to make sure that they jive with what she knows about releasing these funds back. She did make a few changes, which we were able to incorporate here. And essentially what happens is the URA makes their decision. In this case, it'll be May 14th. We then notify the taxing entities of the closing of this, as well as the state tax commission, so that they're prepared to know that we're closing this out. We then ask the city council to review this, and they do an ordinance. So the city attorney's office is working on a draft ordinance for the city council to close this out. We use documents from the downtown number 3 closure to help us guide as templates for this. And that's why we asked Patty Weeks to take a look at it too, because it's been a couple years, but also just to make sure that she kind of knew what we were up to, and also to know what was coming. So I don't know if you have any questions on the resolution itself. It's pretty straightforward because we don't have any open projects. We're not trying to, I think in some cases what happens is URAs will move to close before projects are done, knowing that that project's gonna close within the 4th Monday of July or whatever closing date that might be. Maybe it's even the end of the year. In our case, everything's closed out and paid off. So at this time, we're just gaining interest on that account or on those dollars. So why don't I go down to the budget, because I think that kind of lines it out a little bit better.
I have a question.
Sure.
I know we had moved monies out of our account and put them into that state level. Is that gonna be a problem with trying to
No, it takes a day. And we haven't removed that yet, even though we knew that this process was coming, mostly because the process takes a few months. We might as well gain higher interest on it. So we will move it kind of when it gets a lot closer. Yeah. So there's a little bit of change here. This number for the FY24 budget was 2,600, I believe. We now, because we moved those funds into the state treasurer's pool, we are getting more. They'll sit for yet another month, so it'll actually even be more than 6,000. But this is what we knew at the time of drafting this termination budget. And there were no project costs. There was professional services. As you can see, originally we had $11,000 for each one of the 4 revenue allocation areas. We did bump this one up because we knew that we would have more noticing for this process, as well as probably more legal fees that will be attributed specifically to this revenue allocation area. So we did bump that up a little bit. And these 4 items were also added. And so these are the revenues that we expect to turn back to the taxing entities based on these numbers. Now what happens is we close out our revenue allocation area and we distribute round 1. And then as taxes come in till the rest of this fiscal year, there's oftentimes round 2 and round 3. And those are of course smaller checks to the taxing entities. But we have to base everything on some assumptions for round 1, and that's what this is reflecting.
Each round being a quarter?
No, each round being, this is the initial where we know how much we have in our budget right now. And then as taxes are released to us, so we have payments, Idaho has payments in December, which gets filtered to the taxing entities in January for the most part. But people make payments as they go along as well. And so you get big kind of chunks in January, and you also get a big chunk in like July. So that 410 is an estimate.
Sure.
And so that's why that works that way.
Okay.
So my understanding after reading that anything after September 30th, if it's delinquent or whatever else, it goes directly to the county treasurer. Then they distribute it to
right.
the allocated.
It no longer comes to us. Yep. And I think that that's kind of part of the script here in the resolution, is that it's trying to make that delineation line. You get something after that, don't send it to the URA. We're done. Yeah. So that's why there's a couple of distributions, I guess would be a better term to use for that. So what you do on these termination budgets is you get to 0, right? You expect a certain amount of revenues in, you distribute them out, you're at 0. And so that's what this reflects. The termination.
That was a great explanation. I do have a question though. Usually the school district is about 6%, and the Port of Lewiston is like 1% or less than 1%. So are the Port of Lewiston independent school districts, are they flipped in this? It seems like the independent school district should be getting the $77,393. But I just noticed it, so I didn't have the time to go look at the project plan.
I think you're correct.
Oh, way to spoil it. I have good news for the port tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe. Yes, I think that's right. When I look at the distribution here, so I guess that's also a good reason why we have to delay till May as well. Thank you for catching that, Joe.
Good catch.
So obviously we'll redo this. We may update the revenues too, just based on what we know now, because we did get another month's worth of state treasurer's pool money. So we may amend that a little bit too. And then we will amend the port and the school district and flip them and verify the numbers as well.
Okay.
So that will be on the new publication, which will be published twice. And I believe, remind me of the timeline with that one. So if it was May 14th is the meeting, it'll be May 12th and May 5th.
Yes.
Because it's the Sundays before.
Yeah, May 14th, second Tuesday.
The straightforward language is a reminder that it's not easy to terminate a district either. In round numbers, the return to the participating districts will be approximately,
Yeah, in round numbers, 550,000 to the city of Lewiston, 330 to Nez Perce County, 77,000 to the school district, and 6,600 to the Port of Lewiston.
and be slightly more than that when
Yeah, when everything shakes out. And this number, I mean, we had 2,600 for the whole year. Last month, we had 3,000 from the state treasurer's pool, so that number is gonna climb up a little bit. We also wanted to be pretty generous here, just because we just want to make sure we're covered when we make our distributions, that all our admin is covered for the time before September 30th.
So is it $200 for the ad in the paper?
Those were for the initial publishings of the budget. We have that, as you can see, we have that across the board. What we could have done is bumped up the publications to like 500 and then not absorb them into the professional services, but either way, they're about the same. We may bump that up though, given that we have to we just lost Joe. We may have to bump that.
There it is.
We may bump that publication up. We probably
I
should.
had to scratch my nose, so I turned the video off.
Sounds good.
All right, any other questions? So we'll be delaying that until next May. So the next
Hey,
item,
just a comment.
Oh.
I thought the resolution was very straightforward, and I would have been shocked if you could get this settled in one setting. So the multiple rounds makes total sense to me.
Yeah, Katie and I were like, is this really this easy? So we found out this week, no, it's not this easy.
We were told yesterday, you were wrong.
Yeah, but what we are doing is we are creating internal documents that are kind of like step through checklists so that on the next closure, we'll have it down. Some of these, when you have change of staff, you have to kind of go through the paces and figure out how to do it as you go along. But this is part of the reason why we wanted to start this process last month, start talking about it in the spring, because things come up. And that you don't expect, or that the staff messed up, and so we need to have time built in there. So we're fine as far as time goes.
perfect. All right, any other comments or questions? All right, so we'll move on the agenda, and so the next item is adoption of amended 2024 budget.
Which we will not be able to do.
Yeah, do you want to review it at all again?
That's this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Sorry,
I
thought
just
that
grayed
was-
out these because we are not, at this time, we're not making changes to these, so that's why I grayed them out.
I was thinking the other budget up above it, so,
Yeah.
all right. So moving on, unfinished and new business, we'll open it for board member comments. Anybody?
A lot of activity at the port, applications for development. Pretty busy and exciting time.
Anything related to the article in the paper this morning? Valley Vision's
He's
looking
trying
at
to dig.
recruiting
new business.
new business.
I read the paper and I missed that article. And of course, Valley Vision is hand in hand in economic development. So
Nothing more than what was said.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Curious, as is everybody, I'm sure.
If you had seen public meeting notices at the last meeting, we had developer looking for a enhanced veterans clinic in Lewiston on one of the properties, and that'd be a great asset to the community, we believe. A couple of other things that were in open meetings, Idaho State Police looking for another location to expand.
In the port.
Yes, actually, they looked at a property near the Nez Sheriff, right behind the Nez Sheriff. There's a big open area and seemed like
Should be nice.
would be a good fit up there. Yeah, it's exciting times.
All right, anybody else have any comments?
I don't.
In the group,
Yeah,
Joe, do you have something?
I've got a question. When I was building the chart for the East Orchard Sewer, I was using numbers out of the project plan, and when Katie and I got together, it turns out that the numbers were wildly off because they were, done at the inception of the RAA, and especially like numbers for the revenue that or the tax revenue that would come in were off because property values had increased quite a bit, and so that bit that the URA gets was increasing. So it made me think, is there a place that all that data goes in so that we can get the revenue, the new revenue projections, or should we update that plan? And if we update that plan and keep all the plans kind of up to date on revenue projections and those kind of things, is that something that the city council would have to vote on? But I think that, I would prefer to have it in one place and amend the plan and maybe have some agreement that as we amend revenue projections and things that just happen over time, it wouldn't require a vote of the board. And I'm just curious what everybody thinks of that.
Are you talking about like annual updates, Joe? Not monthly.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't think you'd want to do it monthly, but annually, or just, when we have a market situation that changes the revenue projections dramatically, maybe we just make a judgment call that we need to update it. And but I know that when you touch that plan, it may require a vote of the city council. So, but it would be nice, to keep that up to date.
I mean, we'll certainly look into it and ask that question about the revenue part, but what we could do is, I don't know why we couldn't have our own document that's like an update, that does discuss that, and we would create some sort of template that was across the board that you could amend to any plan. But as far as the technical document, I'm not sure, but we can look into it and get back to you next month.
Yeah, even like just an appendix or something like that, or even just a sister document.
Yeah.
That would be fine, just so that information is someplace.
Yeah. And that's what we might have to do, instead of touching the plan, but we'll figure it out and let you know.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Joe. So I'll open it up for staff comments. Anything else you guys want to add?
No, just that we will be coming back to you, obviously, with some amended documents and proper publication of those documents. And then our plan is to have the ordinance before city council, I think the end of May. Did you say May 26th?
Well, so are they having, that's the question, are they having the meeting on the 26th? Because Memorial Day would be the otherwise the meeting, because I was thinking it might have to go to June.
It may be mid-June because of the Memorial Day holiday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it might be the first meeting in June.
All right, with no other comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
And a motion, and is there a second? Okay, a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned. Motion passes.
Okey-doke.